What is up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Krieg's Outdoors. I have a really awesome video for you guys today about the 3 places you need to add to your bucket list in 2020. I think with the things going on right now, it'll show that really things can change really fast, and hopefully it'll spark an urgency in you to get out once it's all over and start traveling, start living your dreams, and start doing the things you want. Start checking stuff off your bucket list. So here's 3 places to travel to that you can add to your bucket list. Number 1 is going to be Tanzania. Now this is a place that I've been really interested in lately. Tanzania, one of the coolest countries in Africa, is actually the 13th largest country in Africa, and it's sitting on the eastern coast right next to the Indian Ocean and just south of the equator. Tanzania is made up of one mainland called Tanganyika, with several small islands on its eastern coast in the Indian Ocean. The official capital of Tanzania is a city called Dodoma, which is mostly an agricultural town. Now let's get to the cool stuff. Tanzania is a gold mine for some of the most amazing things on Earth. On its western border is the second deepest lake in the whole world, called Lake Tanganyika. Tanzania is also home to Africa's highest mountain, Mount Kilimanjaro. It is absolutely huge, standing 5,895 meters high. Climbing Mount Kilimanjaro will get you 1/9 of the way to a thing called the Explorer's Grand Slam. This is a competition where you have to climb the highest peak on all 7 continents and get to the North Pole and the South Pole. Barely anyone has ever done this, like 50 people. Tanzania keeps its list of natural wonders going with something called, and I'm gonna butcher this, the Ngorongoro Crater. I'm not from Tanzania, so forgive me on that pronunciation, but this is basically a giant caldera, which is a volcanic crater made from a volcano that erupted and collapsed on itself a long time ago. What this created is a huge depression that is now supposed to be one of the most beautiful, bursting with wildlife places in Africa. Speaking of beautiful places, one of Tanzania's islands is called Zanzibar Island. This is one of the most beautiful islands in the world. Although Zanzibar Island is part of Tanzania, it actually has its own government and its own leader. It used to be a major trading port back in the day, but now it's just a beautiful place, bustling with happy people and wonderful beaches. Life on Zanzibar Island is said to move pole, which is Swahili for slow, so you might say it runs on island time. People from Zanzibar Island are actually quite often quoted saying Hakuna Matata, just like in the movie Lion King. This is actually a Swahili saying, which means no worries. They say it all the time, which pretty much sums up their life on the island. No worries. A little fun fact about Zanzibar, Queen singer Freddie Mercury is actually from the island. Now let us get on to one of Tanzania's coolest features, a place that we cannot forget, the Serengeti. Serengeti National Park is home to all sorts of fascinating animals like elephants, giraffes, and rhinos. The great migration of wildebeest, zebras, and Thompson gazelles that takes place here is the largest ungulate migration on Earth. This huge park, which is actually bigger than the state of Connecticut, is exactly what you think an African safari would be like. It's bustling with wildlife and wild views, and it's just another reason why you have to put Tanzania on your bucket list. Now let's get to bucket list item number 2. The second place you have to add to your bucket list in 2020 is Tuvalu. Tuvalu is a small, exotic, remote country that is the 4th smallest country in the world and is home to only about 11,000 people. It's actually made up of 9 islands, with the capital being called Funafuti, where over half the population resides. Now you probably don't know where Tuvalu is, so let me explain. It's just northeast of Australia, right above Fiji, about halfway between Australia and Hawaii. One of the reasons why I added this to my bucket list is because it's actually only visited by 2,000 people a year, which makes it the least visited country in the world. And most of the people that visit it are there for work, meaning that if you went to Tuvalu, you'd be one of the select few that got to visit this very special place. If you're going there, know that only 2 flights come into Tuvalu every week, one on Tuesday and one on Thursday. And these flights may not be the most reliable, so you may get stuck there for a little while, which is no big deal because it's a nice little paradise. Since only 2 flights go in and out of there a week, a really special thing happens there every night. Because the island is so small, every night when the sun sets, tons of kids and people flood onto the airport runway to play games like soccer, volleyball, and all sorts of different stuff. As you can imagine, people playing on the runway is something that would never happen in the US and is a sight that you have to see. They even have their own sport that they play called Tianu that only they play. Although it is a small flat island, there's a lot more to Tuvalu than meets the eye. The beaches are great, the sights are insane, the weather is awesome, but it's truly the people that make Tuvalu special. They're known to be some of the nicest in the world, and all the happy, smiling people are sure to put a smile on your face. Unfortunately, because of rising sea levels, Tuvalu may not be around much longer. The highest point on Tuvalu is only 5 meters, so it's sadly slowly sinking. That means that we gotta take advantage of our opportunity to visit this truly spectacular hidden gem while we still have the chance. It's sure to be an opportunity that you will not regret taking. This leads me to my last place that you have to add to your bucket list in 2020, and that is Antarctica. This one may come to a surprise to you, and I actually surprised myself by adding this one to the list. But after doing a lot of research and checking it out, I really was reminded by the importance to add things to our bucket list that maybe we're a little scared of and a little uncomfortable about. Going to Antarctica seems super scary and super cold, but it's known to be one of the most magnificent places on Earth. People who visit there explain it to be one of the most unforgettable experiences of their life, and here's why. Antarctica is just about as close to being untouched as you will find on Earth. Because there are no native people that actually live on Antarctica, the only people that you will find here are some scientists and a few crazy adventurers. Because so few people are there, it is one of the most pristine places on Earth. There is no trash, no garbage, no nothing, and you can't even tell that people have been there unless you're in one of the camps where scientists stay. The cool thing is there's tons of regulations to keep it just as clean as it is now, and there's not likely to be anyone moving there permanently soon, so it's gonna be pristine for a while. Antarctica is almost completely covered by an ice sheet, which is why it's called the Great White Continent. Because there's so much ice here, it actually accounts for 90% of the world's ice and 80% of the world's fresh water, with an average thickness of 1,800 meters. Because it is so dry, Antarctica is actually classified as a desert, but this does not mean it's flat. With an average elevation of 2,200 meters, it's the world's highest continent. And believe it or not, there are actually mountains in Antarctica. The Vinson Massif Peak is the highest of these, located in the Sentinel Range of the Ellsworth Mountains. It comes in at a staggering 4,892 meters above sea level. I mentioned the Explorers Grand Slam earlier. Well, Antarctica actually holds 2 stops for the Explorers Grand Slam. Both the Vinson Massif, which is one of the 7 summits, and the South Pole are located in Antarctica. So if you want to do the Explorers Grand Slam, you're going to have to get to Antarctica. Animals in Antarctica are things like flamingos, hippos, giraffes. I'm just kidding. Actually, it's well known for its penguins, the emperor penguin being the most famous of these. If you don't know what an emperor penguin is, think the movie Happy Feet. And believe it or not, the male emperor penguin is actually the only warm-blooded animal to stay in Antarctica all winter to protect its one egg. The emperor penguins are actually a really cool animal, and in the winter, the males will get in a big group and huddle up, taking turns on the outside of the group so that everyone gets a chance to get in the center and have the warmest part in the huddle. Emperor penguins are just another awesome feature of this stellar continent, which is sure to blow your mind and take your breath away. If you get to Antarctica, you will be one of the few to do so, and the ice is shrinking, so unfortunately it is getting a little smaller, but we're probably not going to have to worry about that too much in our lifetime. But don't take my word for it. Make sure to get to Antarctica, Tuvalu, and Tanzania, and add those places to your bucket list this year so that in your lifetime you can see them and try to see all the awesome countries in the world. But these are just a few places that you could go, and these are some of the more expensive ones. There's tons of places in your backyard that you can get to that are really awesome. There's cool places all over the world, so make sure to get out, guys, live adventure style, and go see more places. I'll see you next time.